perhaps I'll say just a little bit about that. People who don't know about CND may not know that we've been campaigning since the 1950s for the abolition of nuclear weapons. Now, nuclear weapons, still in my mind, are the greatest human atrocity. The greatest human atrocity. Think of the scale, think of what it does to human bodies, think of what it does to the human genome, think of what it does to the environment. So those are the greatest atrocities. But we've been hearing about other atrocities today, and because we are against atrocities in CND, we're against torture. And torture, it seems to me, at the human, personal level, is also one of the greatest atrocities. If you think what it is, I know there are people here who have actually experienced it, if I think that somebody who hasn't experienced torture, what it is for one person to torture another person, what that means in human terms, for a person, for me, say, to do something like that to you or you or you, what that means, that's a terrible human atrocity. Whether we think of that in religious terms, when we think in terms of, absolute morality based in some kind of deity, or whether we think of it in terms, humanitarian terms, of being good to each other because we're all human, whichever we think in this secular hall, some people think in that second way, and some of you, I think in that more religious way. But however we think about that, it's a terrible atrocity, a terrible atrocity. At least in torture, it's a human relation still. It's somebody torturing somebody else. But if you think of another atrocity that we're very concerned with now in CND, and you think of drones that Maya was talking about as applied in Afghanistan, if you think of that, there's something peculiarly atrocious about drones because the killer doesn't see the kill, doesn't directly see the kill. The killer is somewhere over in RAF Waddington in Lincolnshire, and maybe in the future the British drones are going to be there, or somewhere in the Nevada desert, thousands of miles away from Afghanistan, as Maya pointed out, looking at a screen. An absolute dehumanization of this killing machine, a machining of the killing, if you like, an absolute brutalization of killing, because it strips any kind of human relation from it. It's possible. It's possible. I wonder. You wonder about the operators. What do they say to their family when they go back home? I've been shooting a few people up on the screen. And what do they do to them? So we do have to think about the perpetrators, don't we? We have to think about the perpetrators, what it does to them. So it's worse even than the dropping of that bomb in a way, because it's so dehumanized. So that was a pretty terrible thing to do, wasn't it? Drop that bomb on those cities. Terrible, terrible thing. Okay, so that's what we're about, and that's what the connections are for us with this event. So they're very close. And of course, we're activists as well. We like to do things about these things. And I know Maya is a real good activist on Afghanistan, but we want to be a real good activist on drones, and of course, on nuclear weapons, and on war, because CND has always been an anti-war movement. There are very practical things we can do, and that we're doing now, and I wondered if you wanted to say some things about that, what we're actually doing on the drones front.
Yes, I don't know if you realise, but there is a drones factory in Leicester that they're developing a drone called the Watchkeeper, which is going to go out to Afghanistan. And at the moment, it isn't an armed drone, but it's a targeting drone. So it finds whatever it wants to attack and sends down a laser beam, and then the missiles know where to drop. So it's very much involved with attack. It's a surveillance drone and it's a targeting drone. And it's made up on Scudamore Road here in Leicester. And it hasn't yet gone out to Afghanistan. It keeps being put back and put back and put back, and we've been having demonstrations out at the factory. So if you'd like to get involved and come along to one of those demonstrations, it would be really great to see you. If you could put your name down at the back, I'll make sure you know when they are. The next one's on the 25th of July. And then in October, we're going to have a whole week's walk from Shenstone, the electric field, where they're making the engines that go in the Watchkeeper, to Leicester, and then up to RAF Waddington, where the Reaper drone is going to then be controlled by. So we're trying to raise awareness all the while about what's going on, because it's very bad.
And I just wanted to say thank you to the Zimbabweans for bringing joy into politics. I just love that, because we're so serious. And it's great to have joy, because there's a joyful moment in politics, particularly when you win, but you can imagine winning, can't you? Yeah.